So first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Duquesne University. And for those of you who are not familiar with us, we're in Pittsburgh, adjacent to downtown Pittsburgh. We're private Catholic. And although we only have about 8,000 students FTE, our Carnegie classification is R2. So we do a pretty fair amount of research for our size. We have 2 libraries, and we are presenting from the Gumberg Library, which represents the bulk of the students. As you can see from this slide, we have 9 schools that we serve, and I want to call attention to a couple of things. First, about 44% of our students are in the health sciences. It's not on the slide, but it's worth noting that for the overall university, about 75% of the students are undergraduates and 25% graduate students. But for the health sciences, we have about 52% undergraduates and 48% graduate students. In regard to the College of Medicine, the numbers look very low right now, and that's because our school is new and has only had its second class complete their second year. We'll be admitting more students starting just next week, and by the time the school reaches full enrollment, we'll have 730 plus across all programs. So more than half of the students will be in the health sciences, and more than half of those health sciences students will be graduate students. So looking at the activity we have for evidence synthesis now, we have very high activity from all 4 health schools, from the School of Education, from the Liberal Arts and Social Sciences School, which are combined into one. We have moderate levels of activity in business, economics, healthcare ethics, which is taught as part of theology at Duquesne, and some activity from every school, at least some activity from every school that we deal with. Faculty are typically doing evidence syntheses for publications and presentations, as you would expect, to prepare for grants as additional research outputs for grants, and they integrate them into the teaching and learning processes at all levels. Now, to take a quick look at some of the things that our students are doing, in the School of Health Sciences, we have master's and athletic training students that are doing critically appraised topics for publication or presentation. In the College of Medicine, second-year medical students have been starting systematic reviews, and we expect that to continue as we get more students in with the upper-level classes. Within the School of Nursing, we have a very large number of scoping and integrative reviews for PhD dissertations and a smaller number for BSN honors students who are working with in groups with faculty. Pharmacy, we do systematic and scoping reviews for the post-PharmD masters as well as for residents. And then in the School of Education, the doctoral students in counselor training and educational psychology have been doing scoping reviews as part of their dissertations. So let's take a quick look at our current service model. What we have traditionally done is that in order to be an evidence synthesis specialist librarian, you need to complete formal training, be mentored through 2 full projects, and then once you do that, you can work independently. In reality, there's a lot of cross-team mentorship and collaboration going on, and that's from the least experienced to the most experienced, and we all benefit from each other. As an organization, we support continuing education for evidence synthesis, and we have paid for SRSS1 and SRSS2, for example, and we encourage the use of the excellent free resources that are available too for continuing education. Our levels of service are probably not all that unusual. We do teaching in a lot of different ways. We serve as consultants, where we expect an acknowledgement by library policy, and we provide expert help with searches in that. And then if we're going to be a team member or an author, typically we develop the searches, provide methodological guidance, and participate in writing the manuscript. We are organized in our library into what's called the Teaching, Research, and Engagement Department, and that includes the Health Sciences team, your 3 co-authors here, and that's 3 full-time librarians. We represent all 4 of the Health Sciences schools. The other librarians in the TRE department represent the rest of the schools, and they are full-time. In addition to that, we have 2 part-time librarians working in the department, an assistant dean, and then 2 librarians from other departments that help out with coverage. The way that plays out is that the bulk of our evidence synthesis services are provided by the health sciences team, and we're mentoring the other librarians. Full-time librarians have mostly completed training. We have one final one who is almost finished the formal training. In practice, they have variable levels of confidence to work independently, and in fact, some of them just aren't quite there yet. Selected librarians, we're just never going to give them the training, and that's a library-wide decision. The two part-time librarians do cover the bulk of on-call research assistance time, and they do other tasks like LibGuides and providing help. So what are the problems we saw with the traditional model? It can be frustrating for researchers and generalists alike, and that's because the generalists cannot provide many of the services we're discussing. And so there needs to be a handoff. Sometimes that can be unexpected, and it comes at a time that it makes it difficult in the process. It can also lead to delays in providing support for review teams and naturally an increased workload for the evidence synthesis librarians. Now I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn to talk about our new approach.
Awesome. Thank you, David. So within our new system, we, like most libraries, have on-call librarians, and we have the ability for anyone to schedule a meeting with a librarian at any time. So with our new model, we wanted to empower anyone who's a librarian within our department to help review teams as soon as they reach out for help. So that may be the same day that they reach out for help, they can start seeing someone. And this is because, and we advocate that many of the evidence synthesis services don't require highly specialized skills, and that most of the librarians at our department can help provide that needed assistance in the early review stages. So to that end, we've developed what we call a triage approach to this, in which requests come in, and they may come in from varying levels and from varying manners of coming in. They may be emailed to us, or they may come in through our Ask or to our on-call librarians. And the benefit from this is that some researchers can be seen almost immediately. As soon as they reach out for help, someone can start helping them right away. And one of the largest benefits is that it can help us differentiate from people who actually want to do an evidence synthesis review versus people who are maybe just throwing around jargon like systematic or scoping review without understanding what that is, and really that isn't what they actually want to do. Also, it gives positive experiences for those who are working on call because they don't have to do that dreaded email of, sorry, I can't help you. You have to go to this person. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to see you. And finally, it gives more time for our evidence synthesis trained librarians to focus on the advanced support for the higher skill needs. Some of the challenges are that it requires a substantial amount of support from our health sciences librarians, and sometimes the handoff still can be tricky. That's something that we're working through. So support roles for our generalist librarians, and this comes from the support models, the previous work of Stephanie Roth and Eileen Wofford, which are going to be in our resources at the end. But we start with our generalist librarians doing what we call pre-consultations. And as I hinted at earlier, this is really where you're helping teams discern, are they really trying to do an evidence synthesis? Do they understand what that means? Do they understand the time requirements, the methodology that's required, the type of question frameworks that they would need to be working within? But it also includes other tasks, like we have them do initial exploratory searching so that the researchers can come away with a general idea of what the breadth of literature that they may be wanting to work with is. This can help them either reframe their question or just get a better idea. And it also is a time for us to show them important software. So for that end, we support EndNote and we support Covidence, which is a review management software. And we want to get them started understanding those tools right away. It leads to what we like to term, and this harkens back to my own healthcare background, a warm handoff. It's not just a cold email saying, hey, this team reached out, they want to do a systematic review, that's your job. But instead, this will be where our generalist librarians will have maybe met with these people, gotten a sense of what is going on, and they can come to us instead and say, give us maybe a parameters about what's been looked at, maybe where the pitfalls are, so we have an idea where we are and where we're going forward with that team. So what are the roles for our evidence synthesis specialist librarians? This is not an exhaustive list. We do what is typical, an initial consultation. We'll do what David had spoke about, that idea of the authorship versus acknowledgement discussion. And then we really try to firm up what is going on and where that review is headed to make sure that it is something that a review can be done. So that would be working on the review question, making sure we have our operational definitions nailed down. And we like to leave with developing an initial search so that this study team understands. They can start looking at some literature and finding some of those initial articles that maybe will guide their scoping or systematic review. Then, if we are doing the authorship level, we would be doing those authorship level tasks that David spoke about, the idea of the comprehensive searches, and then doing the method section for them. So, implementing this, we have 12 sessions that we are implementing, and they're actually nested into standing meetings that we already hold. And they started with sessions that are really focused on what the generalist librarians would be doing within this, focus on their role within this. But we wanted to make sure that they understood the context, that they had a sense of the larger scope of the evidence synthesis process. So we went further from that so that they just see the whole thing. And then alongside that, we invited them to shadow in the review consultations and to participate with guidance. So we wanted to give you a sense of our sessions. These are kind of some of them. And for each one, we obviously had some instruction portion, but we also wanted to do something that was a little bit more interactive. So that would be either some case studies where we'd be talking about some specific groups that maybe we saw that align with that topic, or we would be doing what we called like a role play, where we would again be role playing a scenario you may see. So for our third section here, our pre-consultation, we role played a team that maybe is not sure what they want to do and kind of how the process of a pre-consultation can narrow that down. These are some more of them. We are still in the midst of it. We have to do our exercise and obsession next. But our initial results is that we started in December of 2025, and we're going through October 2026 for this. We've already had some of our part-time librarians help with shadowing the consultations, and they've been working hand in hand with us to develop the comprehensive literature search, and they completely revamped our Covidence LibGuide and co-teach our Covidence web workshops. Our other librarians within the facility, within the department, have done some work with evidence synthesis projects that was mentored, and they're actually conducting a scoping review related to information literacy with some help, which is really cool because they've been trained on this and now they're trying to go further with it. So what are our next steps? We have to finish the training, obviously, and we want to continue offering those mentorship opportunities. We also want to revise some of our LibGuides, just update them to make them current. And we're really just in a place where we're preparing for an expected increased demand through, as David said, our medical students and other avenues of increased interest. So what have we learned? We've learned that there were some tech issues that we had to kind of work through that we did not expect. We also learned that the sessions did take a lot longer than we expected. This was a good thing. It was audience engagement. We also learned that it took a lot more time to do these than we expected. But it was also a unique challenge because we were teaching to librarians rather than a general audience. The questions are just different when you're talking to librarians, which is cool. And I think the biggest thing that we learned was that a triage approach, the approach that we have now, really streamlines things. It makes it easier for the clients to get into contact with someone to get these services rather than the older method, which really involved emailing only a couple of people within our team. So we wanted to give you some of our resources to help you get started. These were some that were invaluable to us. And then we wanted to share our contact information. Please feel free to reach out to us outside of this conference as well. And that is everything from us. Thank you so much.